allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing on the agenda is action on the minutes from the last meeting. Somebody ready to take a motion?
Motion to accept.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Approved. Adam, I think you're up.
Okay, so just a couple of follow-ups from last week. First, Elizabeth Calhoun informed me she's no longer going to be on the budget committee, which is disappointing, but she had other things going on, so she's not going to be with us. I do appreciate working with her. I've enjoyed working with her the last few years. She was a good member. So. Bylaws, there was a request for copies of the bylaws, so those, I just put them on everybody's desk, so you have that. The third-party request policy, I put the copy of that on everybody's desk as well, so you have it. There was just an update to that by the selectmen. It says January 29th, but the selectmen just updated that everything needs to be in, but the selectmen update to be the last Friday of January, so that it's easier on the calendar. Also, at the last one, there was discussion on the police budget regarding what it would cost if we added one officer or if we added both officers. So in your stuff, you have one budget that looks blue, and then you have another one that's a little bit of another green. And so it says right at the top that 11 full-time, the other one says 10 full-time. And so that you can see for yourself what the differences are. Just remembering that I'm making that assumption of 3% in merit. I don't have a union finalized. Also, it was mentioned about the animal control, and that was a good catch. The animal control officer stipend, I had taken it from regular, intended to put it into part-time reserves, but I didn't end up making the full move. So that's been added in as well. So when you look at your cover sheet, it has animal control now. So thank you for catching that. You also have a new cover sheet, and the reason you have a new cover sheet is because of animal control being added back in there. So, and then I think that's pretty much the updates from the last time. And I know we have the mowing bids, we talked about that, but those are open tomorrow, and the selectmen make that award hopefully on Thursday. I think that was everything that I owed you from last time. Get the library if nobody has questions.
Yes. Any questions on the police budget? Let's move it right along to the library.
You want to come up, you can sit up here if you want, or whatever you want to do.
I'm usually in the front of the classroom, so why not? Of course. It'll be pretty short and sweet. I'm Cheryl Bertu. I am the Vice President of the Board of Trustees at Freedom Homes Library. There's not a lot to tell you other than these are our basic operating costs. We did some larger projects, so our building and grounds allotment from 2 years ago and currently this year, they're not usually regular projects. So we're able to reduce that line item as well as our lighting expense. So ultimately, we're asking for slightly less than we asked for last year. We're asking for 46,000 roughly, and last year was 48. So despite other rising costs, which we all know is happening, we're able to shave a little bit off of our budget with that.
Appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Questions?
I have one comment and a couple quick questions.
Sure.
I love your notes that you write. I love that. It's like a little story. It's so
Well,
good.
it helps us too, right?
Yeah, it helps make sense of everything. I wondered, do you guys do any fundraising or do you have like endowments or whatever?
So we do get some very small, amounts that are like left from if people die, they might make donations. Last summer, or the summer before, we did do a fundraiser because we knew we had some of those additional expenses. So we sold one of the like prize calendars to raise a little extra money. But primarily, we're using just the budget that we're given.
And then, do you have any reserves? Do you have?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we actually made some transitions this year. So we have a CD and our savings is a money market account. So we are earning some minimal interest that we're able to help put toward the budget as well.
Any other questions? If no other questions, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the budget.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All approved? Like a pass.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
You're not available this Thursday,
I'm not. We actually will have a meeting next.
the following Thursday, would you be available?
Double check.
For the board, the selectmen. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, that's fine.
It might be possible that we can get out of the weather. It's fine.
5, yes, and you'll be first. Well, won't be quite first. Anyway, yeah, let's communicate.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Would you
I will touch
agree?
base with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But you're up. Next up is our budget. Adam, when you're ready.
All right. Myself open to the right page as well. All right, so here we go. So for fire EMS, started. I'm on the right tab. Starting at payroll. So payroll, 588,649. That is an increase from last year. Those increases are, we included the matrix in here of how we come up with the pay. You heard me give the disclaimer last week about how sometimes the department head and I are on two different pages, not because we are adversarial, but it's just because we have two different objectives. Mine is to try and obviously keep things as tight as possible. The department head, the fire chief in this case, wants to do the best she can for her department. So she had proposed a higher wage scale, trying to bring things more competitive in her words. I tried to find something to meet in the middle. And the pay scale or the matrix that we used COLA based on the base rate that they receive. And then when you have that base rate, when you look at it, that's how you go through and see what certifications they have, and that's how you come up with what we're paying our folks. So I did add some to the EMT advanced and the paramedic level because we want to attract those types of people to work here. So when you make the 3% COLA and then you make those changes, that brings us to the salary increase that we're speaking of here. So the 588,649, and that is funding all the full-time positions, and we have how many vacant right now, Chief?
3.
3. But that's funding for 1 chief and 8 full-time people. And then overtime, and the salary line, that also includes holiday pay, correct, Elizabeth?
Correct.
Yeah. So overtime, 50,000. It's allowing for vacations and so forth as well. Per diem, this is where the chief and I definitely are probably on two different places. Traditionally, what we've done here is we've had 2 per diem firefighters on Sunday through Saturday, 12 hours during the day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. One of the things that I've done here in an attempt to reduce costs is one of the per diems Monday through Friday, I have removed them and left the chief as that 4th person during the day. So that's something that she would like to have an opportunity to discuss as we move forward. But I felt that that was a way for us to save on personnel costs without going after the any of the full-time positions. So that brings that to $132,370, which is a reduction from last year. Social Security is $47,803, Medicare $11,180, EFMLA $3,855, health insurance $140,602, retirement $75,936, workers' compensation $64,971, telephone $28.64, office supplies $27.50. General mailings for postage is $50. Equipment supply. So this one looks a little bit different. So this is $68,000, which is a significant increase from last year. But one of the suggestions when I was meeting with the selectmen individually and talking to them about a couple of different things, one of the things that was expressed to me is they would really like to see some of these things that we purchase every year that I've been putting in capital. They feel like they're more of an equipment cost that's purchased every year, like hose replacement, air pack replacements, air bottles. I mean, we buy that stuff every single year, so it's an equipment cost. So their request was that I stop putting it in CIP and that I slide it over into the operating costs. So that's what I've done here. So when you see a $47,000 increase, that's always been in capital. Now it's in the operating budget. So that includes, as the things I just listed off, plus some extra sets of turnout gear. Generally, we were budgeting for 2 replacement sets to buy new ones, and then we were budgeting for 1 set that was more like a piecemeal if somebody ruined a coat or they ruined a pants or something like that. And then laptop for the trucks and thermal imaging cameras. So then, let's see, clothing, $6,000, that's up by $1,000. Medical supplies, EMS supplies, $20,500. Gasoline, $3,420, based on the bid pricing we discussed and the gallons. Diesel, $9,447. That is a reduction from last year, and that is based on the bid price and our estimated gallons. As a reminder, we are getting our diesel and gas down at the highway department. Software, $5,402. Equipment rental, that is their copy machine down there, $1,656. Professional services, $25,462. That does see a slight increase from last year. We've had increases in costs for like paramedic intercepts and so forth. Physicals, drugs, immunizations, $4,000. And the reason for that going up is with the new employees and the cost of physicals and so forth, we had to increase that. Rescue billing remains the same. The selectmen, well, let me back that up. The rescue billing remains the same at $21,000, which is we have to pay 6% of what we collect to the billing agency. And the billing agency made a recommendation that we increase our rates to be more in line with the competitive with the market. Is that
State legislature says what we can bill.
Thank you. And so the selectmen did agree to make that adjustment, and the billing company left us at 6%. So that's why that remains the same. Insurance, property and casualty is $15,927. As a reminder, that's the one that came from the municipal tab from last year and got broken up. Membership dues remains the same at $1,000. Training and conferences at $7,000. That is a $1,000 increase. Equipment maintenance is at $10,000, but then you do see that $10,000 reappear under vehicle maintenance, which is at $45,000. we looked at where we were spending our money, it was the vehicle maintenance that was really needing to, be tweaked. So that brings us to a total fire department budget of $1,364,844. So I'll glad to hear your questions, or if you want to hear the chief discuss those pretty hours and.
I have a question. The 3 open positions, are they full-time?
Yes.
And that's not included in the
That is included
8? That
in
is
the
included in the 8.
we have 5 filled right now. We did have 6 at one point, but they decided to move to a bigger department.
Any questions?
Yeah, is there a big call to have 8?
So- So they're not 8 on shift at one time. They're 2 every day, and they're on 24s, the full timers. So we run between 1,050 to 1,180 calls a year. That average is about just 3 calls a day. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but some of these calls require 3 apparatus and 5 hours of time. Some of them are a simple medical call that takes 45 minutes, but here in Oxford, we're a little bit odd. 20% of our calls happen at the same time. So if it's just a regular medical call and that second medical call comes in, if you only have the 2 people on or you cut per diem positions, there won't be any crew left at the station to potentially handle the second emergency call. So, historically speaking, there's been 4 on during the day, since I started here as a kid in 2009. I can't speak beyond that because I don't have a way of looking back that far, but there has been historically 4 on during the day, for that Monday through Friday since at least 2009.
And what about at night?
So, yeah, historically, that's changed over time. So, when I started as a kid, I know it was 2 people on coming from home. They received $1, several dollars an hour stipend, and then their stipend would go up when it became call. During COVID, due to all the exposures that they were getting, that position started to become funded overnight, around the clock, as opposed to that hourly stipend. And we do see a lot more significant calls at night, which require, in my opinion, require that night coverage. And those full timers are slated to cover those spots. And when a full timer is off, a per diem has the ability to cover that position. If that answers.
Can you tell me what it costs to run just the rescue portion? I know
That's a tough ask, but I'll give you,
Ballpark.
So in 2026 thus far, 71% of our calls have been EMS. In 2025, 73% of our calls were EMS, and we stay typically around that 70 to 30 ratio. However, EMS is how we bring money in. So our billing, I know in 2024, we brought in $347,000 to the general fund. Last year, I'd have to look back, I don't know the figure. But that is where we bring in money. Fire-only costs, EMS, you tend to balance out a little bit more.
my thought is, could we use PACE? I know we're the only town in Ontario that has a rescue.
Well, so we're the only combined fire and EMS service in Oxford County. There are, like, Buckfield has Buckfield Fire and Buckfield Rescue. Bethel has Bethel Fire and Bethel Rescue. I know I'm gonna miss them. Stoneham has Stoneham Fire and Stoneham Rescue, and they're 2 separate entities. Oxford has, Freiburg, same thing. Oxford, in my opinion, has done the right thing and combined, simply because the good thing about Oxford that all the other towns don't have is we're all cross-trained. Every single person on my roster is a firefighter and an EMT, except for 1 person right now. So when you get someone showing up in a fire truck, they're not just a firefighter, they also have hundreds of hours of education on the EMS side of the house. And if you were to go to Paris or Norway or Otisfield, they don't have that. They may have a couple, but you're not getting the dual purpose. Pace does provide coverage. I don't know what their cost, I'm sure it would be at some cost, but your response times would be significantly lesser, and that's a huge reason. When you're having a heart attack or, God forbid, something worse, minutes matter, specifically seconds and all that stuff with strokes, seizures, brain time, oxygen deficient, minutes matter. If you've ever called 911 and been on the other end of the phone, 5 minutes feels like 20 minutes. So response times would decrease significantly, specifically like right now. PACE covers a massive amount of towns, and they could be responding to Woodstock, from Woodstock to Oxford. It would be a tough transition, I think. Your services would decrease.
Can you tell me how many times PACE shows up on mutual aid?
I can get you that number. It's gone down significantly because I'm able to respond as a paramedic, where prior to, we didn't have paramedic coverage often at night. But if they do respond, a lot of times it's as a second or third ambulance. It's not as our primary ambulance. But if you want those numbers, I can pass them on to the manager.
I think what would help in looking at fire and rescue, because it's combined, whereas looking at it separately, if instead of percentages, and I'm sure that you can pull these quite easily, is listing the call volume, say for the past 5 years, how many actual fire calls and how many actual rescue calls, putting it right on this sheet.
Okay.
That way, when everyone is looking at the budget, they'll see the list of the fire calls and the rescue calls. That really tells a big story right there, and I think it would be really helpful. I know I use that method.
You want the ones I have right now? I have the numbers besides the percentages.
If anybody wants to hear them, they can, but I like numbers versus percentages. Percentages don't mean anything to me.
Go ahead.
So 2025, there were 1,039 calls, 756 of them were EMS, 283 of them were fire calls. Of those 283, 52 were structure fires. 2026 thus far, we've had 144 EMS calls. Fire, we've had 59. 11 of those were structure fires, totaling 203. This time last year, just so you can get like a gist of comparison where we're at, there were 231, so a little bit more. EMS, there was 170 at this point. Fire, there were 61, and 18 of those were structure fires.
Those are really good numbers to have for people to actually see them listed out that way. Maybe your sheet, you can talk about that to everybody. Thank you.
Back to the staffing, so that's 8 full-time, 40-hour work week, I'm assuming,
No, 48 hours.
48 hours.
Yep.
224. I was just wondering, is there a way to cut the per diem out completely? Like, can you shift their schedule around so they're still working in the perimeters, but working Saturday and Sundays?
So you mean cut them totally and go to full-time all the way as current,
Yeah.
or get rid of them, period?
As current levels.
Okay, so if you were to make it what we run right now today and add full-timers, it would be, it would be a huge increase, because you also would have benefits, health, all that stuff, which per diems you don't pay.
Can you cover all the shifts with just the 8?
That's what I'm asking.
No, you can't. You have to add full-timers.
Just to clarify, to make sure, so we're covering 24/7 with the full-timers right now for EMS, but are you talking about the fire coverage as well?
Like, what are the per diems we use for?
So during the day, we run so the shifts for the full-timers are 6A to 6A, 24-hour rotation. The per diems work from 6A to 6P. So in addition to the 2 full-time employees that are on their regular shift, we then have 2 on during the day. And like I said, that was the historical piece that they've been doing since I know at least 2009. And that's due to call volume and making sure we typically, if a second EMS call comes in, you can have the second ambulance. If a fire call comes in, when the ambulance is at Central Maine, which is all too often, we have something to staff whenever call comes in next. And then, do you mind if I speak to the per diem
Go
hours?
ahead.
The manager had mentioned dropping the per diem hours, during the week for that 5-day period. It totals 3,120 hours. The cost to that, what is that? It's like $73,539. I am more than happy to cover the trucks. I do that regularly now. I get out of bed and act as the case truck, if you will, as the paramedic intercept because I'm salary and it doesn't cost extra money to do that. However, if you cut that fourth per diem during the week, you essentially are pulling me from my admin duties and focusing on what has to get done day-to-day, payroll, all the BLS standards, OSHA requirements, just ensuring things are running as they should. So I don't know if it's the best use of what you're paying me to do is covering a per diem shift. But I really feel like it sets the town 20 years back. That position has been on the floor for a very long time with a chief in the office during the day, and I truly believe that's how it should stay. I think we're gonna hurt if that's what we choose to do.
So currently you have two?
Yeah, so currently we have,
You'd be cutting.
yeah, so currently we have 2 per diem staff on 6A, 6B, 7 days a week.
Okay.
Plus our 2 full-timers.
Okay.
Adam,
Yes.
it's only listed as 1. Is the number correct for 2? Because it's only listed as 1 per diem, 12 hours per day. 7 days.
Correct, yeah, so 1 per diem, 12 hours a day times 7 days a week, and then 1 per diem, 12 hours a day, 2 days a week. So I took out 5 days in the middle of the week.
Can you just say that there's 4 per diem?
Yeah, so what he's showing you here is, this would be 3. So you'd have your 2 full-timers and then your 3rd per diem at that 12 hours, 7 days a week. And then the 4th is only on for 2 days a week here, which is what he's proposing. And this is where he's talking, we disagree. I would like 2 at that 7 days a week, and he proposed.
So you cut it by 1.
I cut 1 person out Monday through Friday.
For how much?
It would end up being, she was spot on, about 73,000.
Yeah, $73,539 for a total of 3,120 hours in a year.
Is it possible to put a rate chart showing what each of those positions pay so that it's right there listed? Last year, the budget did have, you had a separate sheet in the budget binder last year that had the wage for every employee that was full-time. In addition to that, it was a separate sheet.
Yeah, I remember now,
This year, there's a total amount, and you have no idea what each position pays. In the section where the per diems are, if you showed that there's 1 per diem, what is the rate that person gets? List it right here in the budget.
We use the average for the per diem, we used an average of $23.50 an hour, just because, just like our full-timers, the per diem staff is based on their years of service. Like, we have some people who worked here for 30 years and some people who worked here for 1. Obviously, it's not right if they get paid the same.
No, I understand that too, but that way there's a breakdown showing what that $132,000 is made up of, just like the top line, where you have the amount of $588,000 under regular pay. What does that include? What are those people being paid that totals that amount?
Yeah, I included the pay matrix, and then I did not include that, but I can get that for you both if you want, so I'm happy to do that.
When you do, when you have a line that says overtime, does that include time and a half overtime, or is it just a half between?
It's time and a half.
And so we don't, the other thing is, we work 48-hour work weeks, so they get paid 42 hours a week because of the way the rotation is, and then they don't get paid overtime unless they work over 53 hours, so it's not, I don't want you guys to think that they're getting automatic overtime every week by working that larger hour.
Is it over, based on like the police, it's based over 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's based over the 53 hours, yeah.
I have a question on office supplies, just because it says summer rec. Is that an actual overlap of stuff that you guys do for
We
the rec department?
Yes, and we also, Kayla and I, for several events, have purchased stuff together because we utilize it for events that we use and they use. We regularly go down to touch a truck events there. If she needs extra adult help, we go. If she needs a dunk tank filled, we go and help. We regularly provide our 4 per diems during the day, including myself. We go down and help her with whatever she needs help with. So we're down there for touch a truck. We're down there. There's always public safety days several times throughout. We give out plastic fire helmets. We give out all of our usual public safety stuff. So we try to do as much as we can with elementary schools and Kayla, and obviously that costs money.
Underneath the budget report, it looks like year-to-date for immunization and physicals, it's over 6,000 higher than what was budgeted.
Yep.
And similar to the community relations, it's substantially higher than what was budgeted. What kind of things are causing it to go over so much for both those lines?
So for the immunizations, we had never had full-timers before, and while I thought I had done such a great job with my budget, turns out I didn't do so well in that regard. The BLS and OSHA physicals that they have to go through to start are, I think it's $1,380 something each. It's in here, in that ballpark. And I didn't budget for that. And then, so we had 6 people go through that because even though we're at 5, we lost a full timer. So we had 6 people go through that. And then we had the regular immunization stuff on top of that. So that's why we went over so much on that. Community relations, we're doing more and more between Kayla and just our own events. And the plastic fire helmets, I think it's for $100, they're $600. So money doesn't go too far there.
Did that go up?
We did not.
Community relations, we put it in the same account, like we pushed together, right?
Yeah, that was
Like it went
combined.
in the office supplies and, yeah.
Thank you.
I guess my big ask, is to fight for that 4th, per diem spot during the day. I know we're trying to get through the budgets with not increasing, and this is already increasing, I understand that. But I can't imagine what our service is gonna look like without that 4th person. I'm only one person. I try to do a lot, but, being on the trucks and trying to do my office job 5 days a week is a lot. I already avoid taking vacations, so I just think we're gonna be overtaxed, and I think it puts a lot of stress, and we're gonna cut corners on safety, and we're not in a position or a job that allows you to do so, and it just puts us back years and years and years.
What is that amount again, adding it on?
Got 73,539.
Now, what effect would having your 2 missing people full-time have on that per diem number? If you're short 2 now, aren't you using more per diem?
We're using more per diem, but then we save on their benefits.
we're definitely backfilling the per diems right now in order to,
Which you can see in my year-to-date budget.
Could it be a possibility to cut two positions that you aren't filling already to cover that fourth per diem person?
I don't disagree.
Ideally.
I don't disagree with you because
Right.
the only reason why the manager and I both stayed clear of that is because the town just voted for those 8 positions last
Yeah.
year. And it's not that we don't need them, it's just that we're not offering even close to, I say market value. I know we're talking about people, but we're not offering competitive pay, even close to. So we're not pulling people. I think we have the potential, any new full-time department it'll get there eventually, but, we lost that 6 full-timer to a bigger department who could pay a lot more, and he was going to school, and they can pay him overtime to go to school because they have a union contract that allows them to do so. So, that, it doesn't help when you're not in competitive pay. So yes, it would fix the budgetary problem, but what I worry about is, I just asked for this,
Right.
we do need those bodies in seats for the services, but I don't wanna turn around and be like, no, we didn't need them, because we do, we're just not offering enough to fill them right now.
But in effect, that's what you're doing. By
No, cause I'm not
filling-
asking to cut those.
But, but anything that you have in the budget for your 8 full-time is gonna be spent on the extra per diem.
Right, but there's, besides the payroll, there's nothing extra that would be sent unless immunization. I mean, if you wanna give me my 4th per diem back and, give me the
No, but
pay.
I'm just saying, if you don't fill those 2 positions,
Right,
then you're going to be using
the
that,
per diem. Yeah.
money.
We'll hopefully pull the per diem, or you pay overtime, because if the per diem doesn't pick it up, then I force my full timers.
It's still not a cut.
Right, and then you're paying more, because now I'm paying them overtime, and then that rolls into benefits and.
So right now, if I understand it correctly, the 588,000, that covers 8 full-time EMS. And only 5 of those positions are filled.
Correct.
What is the cost for each of those positions? And what are you paying? What is the rate of pay for an EMS?
So the rate of pay is that matrix, and it depends again on their, like,
The
basic,
average cost.
right, let me run the quick average for you, I honestly,
just digging for that myself.
yeah, I was like,
so
we had that
trying to-
spreadsheet, but I
I put it in a very safe place in my folders.
hold on 2 seconds, sorry.
So the 2 vacant positions, the 3 vacant positions, making an assumption on those, and one of them we're budgeting as a paramedic based on the pay matrix that you see. So you have the average of about, you're
I
kind of,
know, 2581.
but the vacant, one of the vacancies we're budgeting for, they'd be a 2581 for an advanced, 2781 for the paramedic.
And the annual wage would be, what is the annual wage included in that 588 for those 3?
So for the 2581, you're looking at would that be 56?
369.
Yep, and then for the 2781, you're looking at 60,737. And again, one's a paramedic, one's a. And we also make we make the assumption that they're gonna enroll in main state retirement.
And those are benefits, all benefits.
That's their salaries,
Yeah.
that I just, yep.
And then obviously you have to put that in to change Medicare, PFMO, health insurance.
Do you, per diems They don't get benefits, though, right?
No.
It's just hourly, right?
They're hourly, yeah. They are obviously eligible for overtime over a 4-week period or Maine state law, but yes, they are hourly.
But you generally try not to run them to the overtime point.
Correct, yeah, we, especially with full-timers, I'm gonna knock on some wood, we've not had, any per diems in overtime, which we were having them regularly in overtime when we didn't have full-timers, because that's all we had.
So I could see one benefit, as was just pointed out, in adding back the fourth person and eliminating one of the full-time EMS. And I understand that you wanted 8, and the rule of thumb is, once you get full-time, you don't go back because you're not gonna get it back. But I think in this case, if there is a real need for that fourth person, I think it would make sense, because you can't fill those other 3, is to eliminate one of those. And if you feel it has to be brought back, then you can come back at another time. That might be an option you wanna look at.
We've also only had the full-time program for 7 months,
Yes, I
so
know.
it's not,
Would it be possible to just like suspend that position for one budget year? You know what I mean? Rather than eliminating it completely from the budget, could we just make a little footnote and say we're just gonna suspend it this year? Add back the per diem, that second per diem person, which would get you funded the way you are.
You're either gonna, forgive my campiness, you're either gonna fund it or you're not. So if you're not gonna fund it, then, because if you fund it, we don't wanna raise and appropriate the money on the taxpayers if we're not actually gonna intend to fund it. So,
Right.
I don't think, at least.
But if you haven't filled it in 7 months, then it's a possibility you're not gonna fill it at all this fiscal year, and possibly not next fiscal year. So the money was approved for the fiscal 26 budget, and you haven't spent it. So that's why I would look at getting rid of one of those positions at least, if you have a real need for that, for a fourth person coming back. That's what this is all about, is giving and taking. I would consider that.
I guess I would say, if we're gonna look at cutting a full-time position, which I'm obviously not for, but if we're gonna do that, then I would look to go up on my payroll line to make us more competitive to fill the 7 remaining, because even the give and take out of and I have with that new pay scale still isn't competitive. And I would ask, okay, cut the full-time, but keep me at 4, which is giving me the second per diem, and allow me to be competitive to even have a shot at filling those 7, because right now, we're not competitive. We luckily have people who care about this town and have been here and finally are getting benefits after years of working per diem. But let us be competitive to get to a spot where those 7 at least are filled.
So I'm sure you have a comparison to look at to show what the other rescue and fire personnel are making in the other towns around.
Yep.
Because you're very clear on saying that we're not competitive. But I guess I would like to see what the other rates are. I mean, I have them, so I know.
Yeah.
But it's important to be competitive so that you can keep the staff that you need. But I think it's also important to be able to show it.
Many are currently in union negotiations too. Obviously, my department is not union, but they're in union negotiations that will start the next year, and they're seeing raises that you've seen on the PD side, which is 25 to 30%. If I'm asking to go up to be competitive, I'm happy to get those for you. My payroll line increase would only be, and I say only, I know it's a lot of money, $29,382 to get those 8 full-timers up to where they should be. So if you pick one,
I mean,
obviously,
beyond what I'm proposing.
yes,
Yes.
beyond what the manager is proposing. So if you cut a full-time position, I'd ask that you give me the 73,539 for the per diem for the 4th and that 29,382 to at least be competitive for the 7. Obviously, it would lessen a little because it's 7 as opposed to 8.
If we pass the budget the way it's drafted, that allows you and Adam to either just fill 7 positions and add a per diem, fill 8 positions and not add a per diem.
Yeah.
And then it's all
Comes out in the wash,
pretty much
kind
a
of.
wash.
You know,
Why aren't the per diems deciding to go full-time?
a lot of my per diems work full-time elsewhere. So I have, full-timers from Rumford, Scarborough, oh gosh, help me out, Pace,
Raymond,
Raymond.
um,
So we have a lot of people in our first response world and specifically in the fire EMS work at multiple agencies. So I have some people who work at 4 agencies. A lot of people choose to be per diem because they like the flexibility. They put in their availability the 15th of the month and then they get to pick and choose what days they work and then they never get in a position where they get forced. A lot of, I call them my kids, but a lot of the 19 to 24-year-old bracket really enjoy being per diem because 1, they don't care about health insurance because they're on their parents still. 2, they don't care about retirement yet because they think it doesn't apply to them just yet. And, you know, they can work at multiple agencies and have a lot of flexibility. So there's some of that. There's some people who, you know, I'm sure you guys know the name Sean Cordwell. I'll use him as an example. He works full-time in Scarborough and he's born and raised in Oxford, so he still works for his hometown community. So there's a varying reason, I would say, why per diems don't work full-time. I know when I worked full-time in South Portland, I still worked per diem in Poland because it's a town that I lived in. I had a set of skills that that department had a hard time coming by because it's expensive to train a paramedic and a firefighter. So I'd say there's multiple reasons, but.
Any more questions?
When we tell you that we want you to only have 7 or 6, or is there any way that we, or as a town, can tell you how to spend that budget that is for all of those, for all that salary?
So, we all, maybe I should make this clear around the table. When the town meeting passes, the way that we do our budgets, if they were to pass $1,364,844, they were to pass that fire department budget, that we are not line item budgeting it. So what that means is that we're passing a whole budget, and that does not dictate how that money is specifically spent on each individual line item. I'm sure that others,
And I guess one of my concerns is that in 24-25, the budget was 1.1 million, and now you're going up to almost 1.4. That's a lot in 2 years for a town where you can make $20 an hour.
Yeah, the median income is $56,000 household income. And my firefighters are starting at $45,000. So I know I'm asking for a lot of increases, but I do have understanding of that. I know I'm asking for a big increase.
So in that way, maybe it is better to, like you said, take 7, take a hit and say, I know that I asked for 8, but if I can spread out that last one, I can make it so that we can have 7 that I can.
I would rather have, if I had to pick, obviously we know I want my perfect world. I understand I'm not gonna get my perfect world, but I would rather have 7 full-time employees, get my 4th per diem back, and then add my higher wish list pay scale. Because I know Adam said we can spend it, how we, it's, at the end of the day, it's, you get this amount of money, you can do it what you please, but we do try to keep it by line item. you know what I mean? We did, like, it's not like I'm like, oh, well, you know, Mrs. Fair said I could have this amount of money and I'm not gonna listen to what the townspeople, like, I very much care, okay, they wanted us to have 8 positions, I wanna honor that. But I agree that if I said, I'm fine with 7, could I have my 4th per diem back, please? And could I make my full-time pay comparable to areas and be competitive in our market? I think we would go from 5 to 7. And I think my full-timers would very much appreciate that because they would be getting forced less.
That's what I'm saying, if we pass the budget at 1,364,844, and then you only fill, I mean, that'd be up to you and Adam, but if you only fill
7.
7 slots, that gives you that money from the 8 slots to go to your per diem,
Right.
but you don't
And you would
technically
move the
lose.
benefits to that other
Yeah,
one.
and you don't technically lose the position, you just not fill it.
So I understand that because Adam's absolutely right. It's the bottom line, it's not the line item budget. But you lose your transparency that way, and then you lose your accountability. And that's why I believe that what is presented in this budget is what should happen, even though you do have the ability to move from different line items. That's why I think that if you want your 4th person back, then I think it should show in the budget that you're going to reduce one of those 8 down to 2 and lose that position. If you haven't been able to fill that position in 7 months, to me, that's an indication that we've raised money for those 3 positions that we have not paid. And I know last year there was a lot of discussion on having 5 and not 8. And sometimes you just have to, in order to, you know, to make those adjustments and negotiate a little bit. It's up to you and Adam, the department head and the manager, to put the budget together. But I think that in looking at this, that's an option that should be considered, and keeping it transparent in the budget so people can actually see what they're voting on that's gonna be spent.
I answered because I wanna make sure that it's known that we're not lying at it, but I agree with you on the transparency piece. I
Well,
wanna give you an honest answer too.
I understand that, but what's the reasoning behind not saying outright, we're going to finance 7 at this rate instead of 8 at this rate?
I think that if that's what you folks wanna do, we should do that, yeah.
If that's what you guys wanna do, then,
That's not trying to be sneaky or
right,
hide anything from
Right.
anyone, you're just gonna say, we need to be competitive and we feel that we can do with 7 for now. And maybe another year it can,
Yeah, that makes good sense.
but I'm not saying that we shouldn't still not fund the other for the, if you've made it without that.
we haven't though, because we've been, right now, we're staffing that, because we are staffing those
But you
spots.
don't have 2 or 3.
Right, but they're
full-time.
working, right, but the per diems are covering those slots. So that we're still paying those payroll for that slot, we're just not paying benefits for those slots, because they're still being filled by people working those shifts. So, whether that be me forcing a full-time, or I'm sorry, I point this way because one of them's sitting behind, but, whether that be me forcing, like, for example, tonight, someone had a family emergency. I forced someone in because no per diem wanted to work, and now I'm paying that person tonight covering overtime. So per diems are great, but again, part of their flexibility is they get to work when they want. Full-timers, allows me to force them in to cover open shifts. Unfortunately, it just comes with a higher cost than a per diem. So we're not leaving them vacant, we're still filling those positions.
Are you getting applications at all?
Here and there, we've gotten some of them aren't, meeting the minimum requirement. It does we're not a labor type position, you know, you have to come with, our minimum certification is an EMT basic and then a BLS fire certification and fire 1 and 2. Those are thousands of dollars per course and hundreds of hours, and most fire EMS people do that while working a full-time job in order to get a full-time job in our career field, so they're not offered often. So we get them here and there, but a lot of the times they're underqualified. So we obviously need to meet a certain standard and provide a certain service, so.
And I'm very much not in favor of lowering the standard.
Yeah,
Right.
me either.
At what point, so people are tossing out the idea of cutting you from 8 down. And Adam would like to see it that you don't have that 5-day-a-week per diem. At what point of you having to fill in and backfill to help keep the budget down, are you realistically gonna have to start looking at help for clerical?
Yeah.
Well, funny you should ask. I would have loved to put in, and you guys are not gonna like me, so I'm just gonna not even make eye contact, but, I would have loved to put in for a part-time person this year, but I know that we are an expensive department. I know you guys are like, she is crazy and she's asking for the moon. I know the fire department and rescue department costs a ton of money. But yeah, like if I had to be on the truck 5 days a week, I would be burning the candle at both ends, to say the least, because if we didn't have a paramedic on, now if I'm in the meeting with a manager, a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go to this because I don't have someone to do that. Or if it's a bigger call, I leave anyways, but, it definitely would be tougher to keep up my bare minimum, not doing additional stuff like, oh, there's a grant that I want to apply to. I try to keep my eyes out open. I'm not trying to just take. Like, I'm currently working on putting in for a grant, but grant isn't guaranteed money. So we plan for the worst, hope for the best. But at some point, I would love I say Penny because that's who PD has, but you know, I would love a part-time clerical person, but I obviously don't have it in the budget. So, it's what's more important, and I think the 4th person during the day. Sometimes they do have to help me, like if I say, hey, I need all this stuff copied, and I need it correlated, or I need this, and you guys have to do it, and obviously they're more than willing to help, but sometimes they have their own stuff, like you need to go to elementary school at 9, you need to go to SAC at 10. A lot of people just think we respond to 911 calls. We do a lot more. You know, we do a lot more simple things, like someone got home from surgery and needs help back from their house. Like, we will go and help them back into their house, into the hospital bed, to that situation. That's not a call that's just a small town helping people out. You know what I mean? We do a lot more than just respond to 911 phone calls. So the 3 calls a day doesn't really tell you the full story of what we do. So, you know, and a lot of times I'm doing that stuff too, because if they get a call, someone has to be there because we told SAC that we would be there. So I can't just be like, oh, sorry, I know you rearranged your whole day, but good luck. Sometimes we have to, but we try not to do that. So I would have loved to come to you and ask for that. Obviously, I'm not, but yeah.
There's been concern about work-life balance and whatnot in other departments in the week prior's conversations between Tuesday and Thursday's meetings. And there isn't that here, but you're clearly showing that you're already, like, that conversation needs to be prevalent with what you're talking about, that you're personally giving up for what is currently a thing that's taking place right now, for what you even have for staffing without the 3 positions filled.
I mean, that's also, I guess, part of our job. I don't want you to think I'm complaining. I love my job. I think it's great. I went to paramedic school for a reason. Like, I like being a paramedic, but sometimes as a department head, it is tough. But again, I think if we had more competitive pay in that full-time, I could pull in more paramedics. And then my problems would be a lot less.
Have they, in all honesty though, have they had conversations about unionizing? Because I did notice that you guys are not unionized, but there are plenty of other union contracts in this budget binder.
I think you
I-
heard us.
I I mean,
Not that we want it.
yeah, we can't, I mean, you can't union bus, you can't whatever.
We're not encouraging it and
And we're not
we're not telling
saying
them
no,
no.
like,
So-
I honestly couldn't tell you the conversations because I'm the chief, and if they were to have those conversations, it certainly would be in front of me. I came from a union place, so I've been a union employee. I don't know, I mean, it's a struggle when you see, I think the other full-timers are seeing other unions doing better than them, so I think that
Maybe
Would
it's
be a
only
thought.
matter of time.
I think it would be a thought, but I also don't think it's anything to be scared of. Like you said, we have other unions in the town. At the end of the day, I don't think it's a super big deal. I personally don't care either way. It is what it is, right? Like you have to work with it either way.
So what is the competitive pay? I mean, I know you said you get the numbers, but I guess that's kind of where we're at,
It's 29,000.
29,000.
That's what you're asking for?
Yeah, to increase our budget, and obviously that would be spread around 8 people.
Right.
If
Or 7 people.
Yeah, or 7 people as we're talking now. So the hourly rate changes obviously, and that typically is done in the fire world, everything's a stipend. So if you have your EMT basic, it's $3, if you have your advanced, let's say that's 6, and your medic is 9. I also had asked in the competitive pay, when I did the COLA, I did it on their entire hourly rate and not just the base rate, because to me, 3% is, like, if you make, I have no idea what you do, but just for fun, if you make $20 an hour,
Right.
I'm not gonna, and you get $5 an extra hour for being a diesel mechanic or whatever, I'm not gonna give you 3% on base, I'm gonna give it to you on your full. So I also had done my math and my dream for my full timers on their entire, not just their base. So it's hard to give you one average because the employees' training levels are so different.
Right, and I get it, because the company I work for, it's same job, same pay,
Okay,
straight across the board.
okay,
So if you're a truck driver, because a few years back, we had an issue having get Class A drivers. So what did we have to do? We had to compete with the market. Our drivers are now making $36 an hour. It's what the market is in Auburn. So I get where you're coming from by needing the more money. But where else can we cut? I guess that's where we're at.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna cut, I'll agree, I don't know who said it first, but Mr. Tibbet, I don't know who said it, but if you're gonna cut, I guess, I say I guess, obviously I don't want to, but cut a full timer, because at least there's not a name in that position yet.
Right, and it's the benefits we're saving on.
You're saving you're saving on the benefits, which are a significant amount of money. And then put it back into that same line and make us competitive, because then you'll fill the spot. I wouldn't feel as loose about cutting, if I had a name in that position. Do I like it? No, but I understand that it's a massive budget, and you have to do something. But cuttings, like I said, the 4th position to me just, in my humble opinion, is a non-negotiable during the day.
How much is it for this, 8 positions? Full-time, one full-time average, what's the whole cost?
That just didn't give you.
I do,
She's
I just
updated,
need
so-
to bust it so I can see it.
So like, do the paramedic one, well, okay, you could do the
I mean,
advanced.
let's be honest, let's have
Well,
the
to be
highest one.
honest, I mean,
I'll give you the average of 3, which we put all 3 different things in it, right? So the average is 82,971.77. It ranges the low of
And that's
70.5.
including benefits.
All benefits, all holidays, yes.
Okay, so you said, how much would it be to increase everybody's pay to be somewhat competitive? Was $30,000.
Yes,
So if you've got a cost of 83 and and you take 30 and give it to the other 7, then you still have $50,000 available. So you can just move these numbers around and say, I'm gonna take 83 off my 521, and I'm gonna put some of it down here
In the per diem.
in the per diem. That way, maybe you haven't financed your entire 5-day
Yeah.
per diem, but you financed half.
Yeah, you'd be short 23,000 at that point. So you've covered more than half.
So you still would have more than he's giving you in the per diem, and you've given more to your 7.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the budget stays the same as what it is now.
Yep.
As is proposed.
Yes, ma'am.
But
Spot
we
on.
would clarify in the
Yeah,
description.
we would just move it around. Yeah.
So we get,
Works for me.
So I would say put those figures on this and bring it back next week.
correct. Is that a motion?
So there's two.
Yes, I'd make that motion.
I second it.
Motion been made, seconded that, Adam refigures it and brings it back next week.
Yeah.
Is that a technical term, sir?
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor? Passed.
Alright, so
See you next week, go
would you like the fire chief to come back, or would you like it just to have that in front of you for?
That's fine. She don't, I don't think she
I don't-
wants to come back.
I mean, I really like seeing her, but she doesn't.
Well,
get to
yeah, I mean,
come.
I just like being.
701 Main Street, Monday through Friday. Just drop in.
I feel like you should be here in case there's any more questions, then you can answer them.
Or we can give you a call and say, hey, we've got questions, and we'll be ready for you in an hour. And that way you don't
And I'll
have
have
to show
2
up.
children in town, but that's fine.
Oh, that's.
That's
Bring some
okay.
candy.
We've already established
Bring
my
your candy.
needs.
Oh, good. Honestly, I wouldn't even.
How about this, if you're available to come, then maybe,
I'll be.
if it's a huge inconvenience.
Deputy
I'll be
chief.
here. Look at
He looks happy.
him. He's already in tow.
Alright, so the next, would be the fire department CIP. And so she has a handout for everybody that she was able to get updated today.
Sorry. Thank you.
So before we get cracking on what's getting handed out, I'll just give a quick once over of the CIP. As I kind of mentioned before with some of the other CIPs, or all the CIPs, is what I'm doing is I'm focusing on saving money for the future in order to allow the town to make purchases without having to borrow money. So the one caveat to that is in the fire department. And the fire department is looking to discuss replacing a 1993 engine 2, next year for $850,000. From my perspective, I think that's too big of an ask to try and think that we're gonna raise and appropriate all of that in 1 year. So in my proposal, it's saving money for all other purchases in the future, but it is proposing that we would, next year consider, at least purchasing that truck or bonding that truck. So with that being said, the chief's only, or her request this year is a cascade system, which I'll let her explain what that is and why it's important.
So the Cascade system quote is what you have in front of you. It's $101,000. I asked for $100,000. That refills all of our SCBA bottles. So our breathing apparatus, that's what fills them. These typically require to be filled. We check them every week. They chronically need topping off. Our system, we got about 20 years ago. We got it used from the city of Auburn. And we've had it ever since. It's being band-aided together currently. We fixed it for the quote last time from the company several times at this point. I put in for a $212,000 grant last year to try to get this and some other stuff covered. I did not get it. But this is my big ask this year. If I don't get it this year, I'll keep coming back kind of thing until I do, just because it is aging and near failure. when it's been down for several months, throughout this year, we've had to go to Norway or Poland, to ask very kindly to use theirs, and luckily theirs had, theirs had gone down, similar time, so we just allowed them to come use ours in return as a favor kind of thing. Ours is very old, antique really, so it is important, and this is a quote from today, honestly, we just got it in writing, but I knew how much it would be just because he had put forth a grant with other items in it prior to.
So the ask is $100,000 to fund the Cascade purchase. I will give the chief credit. She has been looking at a lot of different, grants and things to try and find funding elsewhere. So it's not for lack of trying.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the $100,000 CIP for the fire department.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Thank you.
Congratulations. You got one thing to write.
Listen, I'll take it, run together, okay?
All right, so we can't get rid of her too fast though, because now we're gonna talk about public safety building. All right. So for the public safety buildings, everybody's ready to go. We have electricity at 27,659. Heating oil, 20,232.
Back to electricity, was it, so,
So that's based on our rates and the usage. We tried to lock in with rates and with the rates going up. I mean, Beth, do you want to give a little bit more? We talked about it pretty extensively, if you can, please.
I've been working with a broker. We're currently in a locked rate that will be done in December. And the broker came back with new rates that were much higher and it would have cost us more. But our old rates before we went into this, we went back and looked, went up significantly. So 0.07 to 0.109 for our, and it's not the electricity rates, it's the supplier. Yeah, so it was a huge jump in January because it was December done by the prior finance officer. But that was put out to bid, so we put all our accounts out there and we put it out to bid and they come back. So this time it came back much higher, so still it's gonna be an increase. So we increased in January and then we're looking at more increases, so. Any questions with that?
No, I've seen my own increase every month since October, and I'm on the same similar type of a thing for my
Yeah,
supplies, so it is what it is. with
there is a
the
change
used
of
stuff.
law to legislation that has changed that and what they can add to it, but it's about the supply, where they're getting it from, how they can charge for that.
Heating oil, that does go, it's 20,232. That's $2,100 increase, and that is based on our average gallon usage and our heating oil bid price. Telephone is $2,135. That is a slight reduction. Interwebs, as I like to say, is $1,800, with a slight decrease. Water, $740 based on use. That's a slight decrease as well. Propane is a $250 increase, so it's $750 total, but I believe that is only used for the cook stove and the generator, so it's pretty minimal use. Office supplies, $4,500, slight increase, $500. Insurance, and Chad, this is the liability insurance that we split amongst all the departments, is $76.41. Professional services, So this was under building maintenance, and again, we're trying to standardize all the departments so that if it's, professionals, if it's a service that, we contract for, we're trying to make it standard across. So we separated out the modern pest, the fire alarm, sprinkler testing, fire extinguishers, all that stuff, and put it under professional services, which is $3,756. But we did leave the building maintenance at $25,000 because we've had HVAC and other things that we've had to be fixing along the way that continue to continue to be expensive. So we didn't want to make a reduction there because we didn't want to shortchange ourselves either. So we're looking at a public safety buildings cost of $94,213.
Question?
Is there anything in this building maintenance that's coming up that's bigger than usual?
Just more on the CIP side, we'll cover that, but.
You get a couple of items in the CIP, but building maintenance wise, I mean, it's been nickel and diming us with like garage door repairs, HVAC repairs. So those are probably the two big ones, aren't they? Yeah. So.
But luckily now, with the help of CIP, 2 of our 4 HVAC units are new. And they had lasted since the building was built, so it's been 25 years, so at least now half are new, so we're getting there.
No other questions? I take a motion.
Motion to approve, if I can.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
So moving on to CIP for public safety building. So the request for CIP total is $75,000 for the public safety building. That is to fund 3 projects this year, HVAC upgrade, and then as the chief is starting to allude to is that there's 4 units that do the cooling, right? The cooling units. There's 4 of them. We've been replacing 1 a year, so we're looking to do 1 this year for $25,000. And then garage door upgrades, and that is not necessarily the actual door, but the guts, right? The mechanics of it for $20,000 for how many of those doors did I have on my sheet here? 18 doors total, 6 per year. And then also replacing windows this year. We're trying to get as much done as we can, but piecing it out over a few years. Replacing another set of 4 windows this coming year. Starting at the worst, working our way to the best, if you will. So that's a total of, $53,000 there, and then saving for the future, like I said, $75,000 total is the ask, and that starts saving towards future purchases too. So.
What's the age of the heating system that you have the next 2 years noted for?
The age of the building, everything is original, except for the 2 new HVAC units. So 25 years, we'll do 26 next.
It's like, it's early 2000s when that building was built, right?
If you have something like this, fans in the bays for next year, and we've raised money toward these projects, who decides when we're going to do this, or if we are, do the selectmen say, all right, we really need this, or does it happen, or just because it's on the list, this means we're gonna do it?
So if it's on the list, and I'll pick on the HVAC system for instance, that's a value that would require that it go out to bid. And therefore, when it goes out to bid, I have to go to the selectmen, the manager and the department head go to the selectmen and say, here are our bids. Would you please? So they ultimately have the authority to release the funds at that point.
Or say, no, we're not gonna do it?
Correct. Yeah, if they don't like it.
During the year in which it happens, that's when it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, they could say, no, we don't want to do this right now, yeah.
And like, for example, the fans was something I had pitched this year to the manager, because of our heating oil costs. I feel like we both, and along with Chief Jack, all felt like, what can we do about this crazy heating oil cost? And I had reached out to Masons because that's who the town contracts with for all of our HVAC type stuff. And they had suggested, and you'll see it in your packet, the safety zoo fans is what they call them. And they said that saves on heating $5,100 a year. And that was why I suggested that we put in it, because I said, okay, for 15 grand, we can pay that, receive that back in savings in 3 years. Why wouldn't we do that with how much we're putting in? So that was a new ad this year because of me, but I just felt like for cost effective, it made sense. Our bays, obviously, you guys drive by the building all the time, are massive. And we don't have any ceiling fans in them. Usually most station bays, specifically on the fire side where they're so high, have some sort of ceiling fan to push the heat down, and we have nothing. These are a little bit more high tech, and they, to be energy efficient, know when to turn on and off.
No, I
Based
wasn't
on
picking on that
temperature.
one, I just meant in general.
Yeah.
And things that get onto this list.
Yeah.
And I remember like,
Yeah.
we decided that this was to be added. And I understand if I'm replacing something that I had before, but if it's a new purchase, what makes it get added to this list?
To get on this list here, to the one you see today, that's the department head and I working together and collaborating with where we think it should go. We're asking for a lot and you being cheap and pushing it out.
Okay.
Adam, it looks like it should be on there for 25,000, not 15,000. The proposed outline is 25,000.
For
51.
which item, I'm sorry?
For the zoo fans, right, the one, because you got the email from the Mason rep, Todd, speaking about the zoo fans and all that, and then the next page is the $25,000 quote.
The quote isn't for, this is for the 25,000, this is for the actual, that other HVAC unit.
Oh,
So
okay.
he didn't like put together an official looking, he didn't have time, like in time when these were being prepared, so I asked Adam if an email would do him outlining what we talked about in the cost, so 2 separate items, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And that's where he had said, oh, here's your cost savings with the crazy zoo fans. Who's a bad name?
It's fun to say though.
It is fun to say.
I make a motion that we recommend $75,000.
Second, seconded, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
See you next week.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
I'll put you last.
Okay.
So I believe next, transfer station, Ed, do you wanna come on up? Ed's been really excited for this, so.
Yeah, I always like these.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah. Amen.
You guys are good, I'll get cracking.
Yeah.
So, for regular payroll, we have 3 3 full-time employees, 179,868. That shows an increase for 2 reasons. One are the COLA raises, merit raises, but also adding holiday pay. Overtime remains the same at 2,000. Part-time remains the same, 6,200. Social Security, here you go. 660. Medicare, 2,727. Paid family medical leave, 940. Health insurance, 66,380. Retirement, 16,188. Workers' compensation, 7,396. Electricity remains the same at 5,000. Telephone, 682. Internet, $4,260. That shows a $2,700 increase. What happened with that is that we needed to get internet down at the recycle building, and in order to get our phone situation all rectified and so forth. And that was an expensive go for that. Propane, $300. Again, propane is a minimal use down there. They just have it for like heating in extreme cold, so it's pretty minimal use. Office supplies, $817. The equipment supply line, this is for the baler, and Ed only needs to purchase the baling wire every other year, so it's removed because we bought it last year and we got the new baler, right? So clothing, $1,200. Gasoline, again, it's minimal use down there, remains at $200. This is for lawnmowers and such. Diesel, $3,203. That's based on our bid price and the 1,200 gallon usage. Yeah, but the 2 loaders and the compactor that run on diesel. Software, that's a new line for his computer. It's Microsoft, $120 a year. Printing, $1,500, remains the same. That's for his cash and charge slips and window placards and such. Equipment rental, $720 for photocopier. Other waste, this is $4,230. This is a increase of about $2,300. One of the big reasons you see that is that oversized log disposal is about $2,500. We needed to include that. And also you've just seen some increases in that hazardous waste day, disposal day, and I'll let Ed will talk more about that when we get through here. Tire disposal, $14,800. Refrigerator disposal and Freon, $5,942. That's also an increase. You can see what the unit rate charge is, as well as our estimated number of units. Trash tipping. So this is getting rid of the trash. This is a 100-yard can. That's $117,534. It is a $6,000 increase. That's a $90.76 a ton, and we estimate about 1,295 tons based on our usage that we've seen. And then the trash hauling. So this is the hauling of the 100-yard cans. And that's $279 a haul, and we do 2 hauls a week on average, so that's $29,016. That is different from last year. Last year and years past, we've had the tipping and hauling for each one together, and I'm going to be selfish. It confused the heck out of me, so I separated them so that I could do the math. So I hope that's helpful to everybody else too. Electronics. $1,000, that's disposal of electronic waste. We separated that up. Now, some of these things that you're seeing separated a little bit different too, like electronics. If you look at your revenue sheet, we got asked a lot at town meeting, if I remember correctly, about people wanting to know what kind of revenue the transfer station brought. So we've separated some of these so that the expense and the revenue match. So electronics is just an example of that. Demo, this is the 50-yard cans, $93,500.
And that is, as you can see in the description, about it's $175 a ton, 520 tons per year. And we also have a mattress disposal cost and so forth. And then we have demo hauling, so this is to haul the 50-yard cans, 21,150. And that is $235 a haul at about 90 hauls a year. Insurance, that's the liability that was split up amongst the departments, $6,523. Membership dues, $287. Training conferences for about $1,500. Licenses and fees, $700. You have equipment maintenance for $25,000, which remains the same. Then you have building and grounds at $20,000, which is a $7,400 increase. That includes that's regrind that we have to put down over the old landfill, which is a DEP requirement, but it also accounts for maintenance on the facilities, fixing heating systems and windows and the yard and all those kind of things. So it gives you a total transfer station budget of $652,544.
Any
Question?
questions?
So I have one for the contractors that can bring trash into our dump when Norway Paris is closed. They aren't able to do that?
Not unless it's being done in Oxford.
Okay.
In other words, if they're doing it for Norway resident as a company and they are doing a job in Oxford, we will pay.
These items like charge like tires, refrigerators, demo and all, on that figure, that's what we're paying to get rid of that.
Yes.
Now,
You got a revenue sheet that we're taking money in for all that too, though, if there's somewhere in the
I was
fund.
gonna say, cause that should come out as an even figure, shouldn't it, if we charge a customer so much per tire,
So I didn't have.
it shouldn't it balance out?
You have to
It's in the
budget
back.
your expense in the budget,
Okay.
and you cannot net it with the revenue you received. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, it seems like it should come
No,
out
you
to a
can't do
zero
that.
figure.
Your revenue has to go in, be recorded as revenue. Your expense is part of the budget. So whenever you budget the expense of that line item, whatever it is. And then you look at what your revenue is coming in, so you can see how much revenue you're taking in. But your budget has to include the expense for that.
It just makes it right out of,
That's
You can
municipal
have-
budget.
okay, it just makes it out,
Yeah.
You said there's a record, saying how much, say like the tires, for instance.
Yeah, there should be a revenue sheet.
It's at the back, there's like a revenue tab
Just figure
The
that out.
bottom of your book,
at the bottom.
that is very bottom.
Oh, right, when you tap.
So it's
Wait,
costing
oh, wait,
us,
oh, wait, okay.
costing us 14,800, but we're bringing back in 7,502.
Too bad it can't show right at that point, doesn't it?
So there's a difference of 7,000 on that particular,
And
it's costing us 7,000.
So the rates, Ed and I bring to the selectmen, the rates, and that's how the rates are set every year. So we bring that to the board and ask them to set the rates based on our, Ed's recommendations, so. Some of these things though, like trash, we don't charge people for trash, obviously. Residents can get rid of their trash.
I feel like tires and mattresses and couches and things like that,
You know-
there's definitely a tipping point, because people are not, they're just gonna dump it on a small
That
road.
was the biggest thing on this last year in the budget, because it came in on July 1st of last year. There was no mattress fees before. All of a sudden, they come to us with a $30 mattress fee, and
Yeah.
it was not in our budget.
Right.
So we went to just the people and said, yes, that's what you're gonna pay, just what it costs us. But if it sits down back in that dumpster and it rains on it, snows on it, we're paying the weight too. So
It's
it's,
tricky, that's a tricky.
it bites at us, but we're making money on that demolition and mattress line. It's like $11,000 extra right now.
Covers
Yeah.
our tires.
You want that back?
And I think that's one of the things that's the hard balancing
Yeah.
point, is that yes, the selectmen can set the fees, but if they set the fees too high, people are gonna dump it on Swamp Road.
Yeah.
So you know, it's hard.
The other day we were being nosy and we pulled out the road by Napa because we wanted to look at the Hancock building, and there's a couch and there's mattress and a bunch of junk out there. People don't, because they don't want to pay for it.
What does happen to stuff on small buildings? Does the highway department go pick that stuff up, or is the landowner responsible for it, or what's it?
If it's in the public way, the highway will pick it up and bring it over. So,
That works.
No, we need it.
yep.
I've noticed a lot of places, anywhere you get off the road out of sight,
Yeah.
all the surrounding towns, you'll find appliances and stuff. But I guess that ends up on the landowner. It's not gated.
And Public Works has been pretty good about helping people out though. It's,
I mean, if somebody comes in and says they found a tire on their property, if they dump, I'll work with them,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I can understand that, hey, here's your tire.
Unless they do it every week, then you would catch
Right.
it, right? Yeah.
Can you explain the $5,000 for telephone and internet for the dump?
so we had a telephone, we needed to get a telephone system over at the recycling building. And when we went to that system and wanting to get that same voice over IP system over there, the internet ended up being a significant extra cost in order to be able to facilitate that, because it needed specialized equipment in order to do it. So that's where that cost comes from, is the extra cost of getting that down
Is this a one-time cost?
there. No,
I'm arguing the cost of that specialized equipment, but it's an argument between Spectrum and our IT. So
and I didn't want to not put it in there and then lose the argument and not have,
not have the money, so at this point, I am trying to reduce it.
I guess I'm kind of questioning the need for phone and internet. But I'm going to have my cell phone. I can go.
You get incoming calls a lot, right?
Yeah. Okay, at the transfer station, we have to run a billing off in it.
Yeah.
Up there, it's just to mainly run the phone.
If you'll pay the credit card, you need
Right,
that.
you have to have that. I think I'd say we've taken in a couple of
So
hundred.
the almost $5,000 is
For
for
which line?
the
For all of it. What are we thinking?
voice over IP.
for the internet to allow, yeah.
So the revenue, the total underneath the revenue line is
Hold on a sec.
$121,536.
So that's all money that's coming back into revenue. The 121 is what we're looking at to come back. The paper I just sent out to you, I figured that out this morning. That's just from July 1st of this year to now is what we've sent out in recycling at the recycling building. So that saved the town, you know, a big chunk of money right there. Plus we're making revenue on that. That's stuff that didn't go in the hopper. You know, the stuff that all the different companies, you know, like Outdoor Comfort Center brings us all the cardboard. And we've got another contract we're working right now with Hebron about them bringing us the cardboard. So that's gonna be, there's no cost. They just want to get rid of it. We're gonna take it and we're gonna make revenue out of it. We sent a load out today with 43,000 pounds today. So that ain't even on that paper yet.
What's this new oversized log disposal for $2,500?
Okay, it's the big, huge, when the logging trucks come in with big logs, we have to have them ground. They pay $25 a ton to bring them in. It's gonna be a wash.
Brush.
Brush is free,
Yep.
but the logs are the big ones.
Yeah.
You know, and then if, you know, it gets to the point where it ain't enough, we have to pay a little bit. But we make $1 a ton for every bit of the brush that goes out of there.
So on the line that says electric, where it says electronics, $1,000, and it shows as a wash. Could you show that for all the other things like tires and stuff like that?
No.
You can't show it in this, because like I understand like we're getting paid for the stuff that we're getting rid of. But I think that would be helpful if we could actually see how much we actually, at the end of the day.
The electronics does not cost us nothing unless, you know, a battery gets left in one of the computers, or a keyboard gets thrown in, they charge us the extra, and if they're there more than A half an hour, they start charging us time to load the truck. And any other time, it's $100 for the truck to come. That's what that money is. We figure, 10 times a year he's gonna come. Hope and pray that, that we've picked it right and, but you guys are paying $10 a piece to fund that too.
And just for clarification on the revenue side, so though I agree with the premise of what we're saying, that it's a wash, but the revenue and the expenses are separate. So when we take in the revenue, all of it's put into one bucket to offset all of the taxes. So that's why you see them in two separate reports. I hope I explained that now.
It don't go back to the transfer station.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
General
Yeah.
fund.
Goes in the general
Yes.
fund and they do
To
that.
offset all of the taxes, just like with rescue billing and all those.
Like I explained to Josh the other day, if somebody, say you're building a new deck on the side of your house, you got an old one. Not every taxpayer should be paying for your deck. So they pay the $260 a ton to get rid of the demo. And that's how we clarify, that it shouldn't be everybody paying for everybody's. You bring it in, you pay for it.
And can you tell me what we'd save by reducing the staff number and hiring a couple part-time people?
Talking about, one of the full-time spots.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that 180 down around, I don't know, give me a number, 150?
DEP says we must have 3 full-time people there at all times.
Really?
It's in our bylaws.
Is it
Must be 2 full-times at the transfer station, 1 at the recycling.
Could we do that with part-time, I think is what he's asking, like,
I
have
can
Correct.
tell you, so, one full timer with benefits, let's pick on one person, 69,543. And that's benefits, everything, and that's not increasing our part-time.
How much training is required by employee?
The law,
I mean, for the in-person, do they have to be
they're
trained?
gonna be certified too. We're, all 3 of us right now are DEP certified, we have all the certificates. We went through all that training.
So you can't just
And
get
you go
anybody in
to
there.
Portland and you go through some training.
Yeah.
You have a test.
I'm just a warm body in there.
I mean, everybody's gonna say that they see me in the office all the time, but somebody's gotta run the office. If you're not in there, you ain't gonna catch them. They're gonna come across the scale, they're gonna go down, bag dump the truck, they leave. Somebody's gotta run the office. I mean, you see me out there a lot, but I'm in the office. I make sure that things get paid for. I mean, that's the way it runs. I mean, Garrett is he's my second in command, Garrett. It's a recycling, and I have Garrett, so I have Garrett and Garrett. It's a little confusing, it's Garrett H and Garrett H, so I just go young and old.
One, two.
It's pretty fun, but, there's gotta be somebody in that office all the time.
I think one of the balancing acts, though, it's kind of like when we talked about the fire department too, is that if the committee is looking at that kind of thing, I don't think it's as easy as just swiping out a position, because there are hours that you need covered that we need to cover.
Right.
Whether part-time or full-time, I think this coverage is needed too.
I wasn't saying that.
And we applied for, we put it out for bid, put out to try to get a part-timer, and who could get that but Burr. Because that's the only one that wanted to work. You have to work every Saturday and Sunday, and just people won't do it. They don't like that. We have Wednesdays and Thursdays off, we have 2 in a row, but see, that's my weekend, this is my Friday. But a lot of people don't want to work Saturdays and Sundays. People go to church. They sing the national anthem right there.
I tried to get him to sing the national anthem before this all started, but he declined. So,
Thank you.
Thanks for
That's
doing
what
that.
I'm saying, you don't leave.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We all appreciate that.
very much.
I've heard you sing before.
So for the professional development certification, it doesn't look like they're using it when we look at the year-to-date so far.
It's going in April.
Okay,
They go to a conference. He's the only one that's going this year. But they'll go to a 2-day conference. You'll get to go up to Samoset for 2 days and learn. DEP trainings.
So, building and grounds, it states for upcoming maintenance needs is that things that are non-CIP.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a wall that's comes into the office and is completely rotted right off the bottom, and we got an estimate for it.
I don't know if that's in there.
$3,500 to have the wall repaired, because it's
I don't think that's in there.
the door going into the office. I think going into the CIP is the other wall, right? The other wall.
Yeah, the floor was a bigger project that we put out a little bit further. But yeah, no, general maintenance stuff, like I said, the heating system, the bathroom, the doors, the other year we replaced some of the bait.
Wasn't in there.
I'm not seeing it. All the stuff about the more detailed
This
stuff.
That's one of the estimates I got for the wall, but we're gonna have to put it out to bid anyway, when it comes time. We'll put the RFP out, but that was a rough one.
Yeah, I don't think that's in there.
That landfill regrind, is that something you have to do regularly, or is it just one time thing, or?
Well, every year,
You
have to go up on the landfill it's capped over,
Yeah.
any holes or any rots, you have to put this regrind in it.
Yeah, just as a,
The DEP comes and inspects it too, every year.
figured you roll.
They just walk in, they don't tell you when they're coming.
Yeah.
They come out of the door and show you their badge. You deal with them. And like I can say, last year, we got a clean 100%. There wasn't one deficiency on that. So we was on it. They look for trash blown around, they look for under the trailer down underneath. They want to make sure it's clean. We put sawdust down so all the drip ins come out of the trailer, go on the sawdust, we clean up every week. It's
Any more questions? Take a motion.
Motion to approve the budget as recommended.
A motion to approve, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Thank you. In favor of,
So now let's go to the transfer station CIP. So the same spiel that you've heard me give a couple of times, the department head and I on, it's not that we're fighting, it's just that we are having two different objectives, so we both have different perspectives. So this year, well, first of all, the ask this year is $55,000 for CIP to save for future purchases. Ed would like to see us replace and purchase this compactor trailer. And that's the one slated for next year for $116,000. My reasoning for putting that off is that we just said that we had it repaired and inspected, so it has an inspection sticker on it. Looking to get an extra year out of it so that we can
again, with our CIP, kind of ease into the CIP a little bit more rather than in too much shock and awe right out of this first year with big purchases. So, again, the ask is 55,000. That starts us down the road of having enough money so that next year, if we do an ask of 60,000, we'll have enough to cover. That $116,000 compactor trailer. Sure, Ed would like to give his thoughts on that though.
We just went down to get a sticker and it cost us like $3,500 to get a sticker. It was $3,000 last year. We had a welder come in and it cost us over $1,000 to weld up patch holes on it. I think there's like 27 patches on the outside of the trailer that hold it together. 2 years before that, we had Powers Welding come in and they had to put cross members all the way across the bottom of it to make the trail so it's solid to go down the road. It's getting to the point where it's scary. The guy says when he dumps it, the trailer does this. I mean, it's what you guys want. I mean, if you want to hold off till next year, we'll just keep using the maintenance budget and put it to it.
What do we use that one for different than the 2021?
Nothing, we have a contract with Almighty that we have, you pull the trailer and he takes it down and leaves it down there and he comes back with it, so it's only $279 a pull. If we was to have just one trailer, it's $440 per pull. He has to go back and forth the same day. So that's gonna, right now, it's like $20,000 difference if we have two trailers. And if one breaks down, we got the other one to back it up. So each week, the black one was in one week, the red one was in the next. Yeah.
I believe.
And if you look at it, I mean, it goes all the way up to 2034 before we ask for another one, so.
Yeah, they do last a good long time.
This one here has had the floor replaced, the complete floor in it, right? Sammy Sessions. The inside of the walls are gone right now, so when you patch the hole on the outside, you're looking right all through. So the outside patch is whole, but the inside is all still holes. It's just one up. I mean, garbage rots it right away. I mean, it only makes 20, if it's with both the trailers, it only makes 26 times a year for Auburn. And it costs us over $3,000 to put a sticker on it this year. And it's gonna need tires.
How much are the tires?
They're gonna be probably, I'm gonna say $600 or $700 a piece. There's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 tires on it.
So what is the time factor from the time it's ordered, the delivery time?
It'll be over a year.
The trailer, that's what I thought. So even though it's budgeted next year, it's gonna be a year
Another
before you can
before,
have it,
so we'll
so
have another sticker.
basically, you're not gonna get it until fiscal year
Unless,
29.
do I have that one there? I put another one in there. And I mean, the price, the way steel is, price is gonna go up again.
So if you ordered it in July of this year, you wouldn't get it until
We're gonna look at probably
July
July.
of next year.
But the thing is, you probably have to pay a down payment, right? Or, because I just had to do that, I had to pay a payment to order.
Percentage.
I mean, that will have to go out to
Yeah.
RFP too, so it could come in cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, that was the price that guy gave me. The one that I had the picture of, the white one. That was, same trailer that we got.
Yeah, so I'm certainly not sitting here saying that the transfer station doesn't need it. I'm just proposing that we put it out a year. So it's just, we're both working towards the same goal here. I think we're just trying to do it quicker than that.
Make a motion that we recommend the $55,000.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded for 55,000. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Yeah, you don't even have to come back.
She got a really easy.
I could go to Thursday
You're
night and then cry to the guys, though.
You just come back.
Have fun with
Whoop.
that.
I'll come back Thursday and cry.
Take a break.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a, say 5 or whatever.
Just 5. I'm an old man.
It's fine, it's fine, no problem.
What are you drinking there, Ed? Is that pink?
It's what, it was an iced coffee, but it's ice and flat.
Oh.
I'm not going.
Yeah, you want to say like,
Gonna make the fun of the way he was walking, but I'm doing the same thing.
it's cost, you're paying 14.8, but we're bringing in 7.
You ready?
Yeah, that's the number I want.
You just gotta make your own.
Yeah.
So the thing that sucks is we're essentially losing 7,000. It's costing us 7,000 for tires, but he's saying on the demo and the finishes, we're making it.
I see, just off tires.
I think people will just jump it, they'll just throw it away. That's what
Oh,
I
it's
think.
scary.
Fine, but right now we're paying for it. So,
Right.
I mean, or you're like me.
Those will go.
250 tractor trailer tires.
You're what?
Still. I don't have a fucking,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't have mom's disposable. So they're on the site out of pocket.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, when I get the money, I'm gonna get rid of them.
Right.
But
You
it's,
just do tooling.
well, I can't, because I got a good tractor trailer tires, you know, around the top.
Oh, that's terrible.
But when I first moved in,
Did you know that when you moved in there? You could
I didn't know there was that many.
Was it a footprint?
I mean, it's not something 5,000. I mean, up until COVID, my mortgage payment was 6,000.
She wouldn't mind me
Yeah,
having
I'm
one.
on terms of my taxes and all that.
Yeah.
So now
I
I'm
made a
paying
deposit for you.
$1,000 more.
I just made a deposit
Nothing's
for
changed.
you.
It's not blood, it's sorry. It's staying here.
This,
Just getting operations.
Especially if they sell it, and then Trump's, you know, see how
We're all back.
same month, but I'm fucking that
No. All right, so if we're all good, I'll start right on the sewer with Xenia here. So, all right, so for right at the top, we're talking regular payroll for 2 full-time employees, $154,924, which is an increase over last year. The overtime, we have reduced that down to $300. We have pretty minimal overtime down there. Part-time, so this is a place that you're gonna see is a little bit different from last year. We got part-time at $15,505, which is a $10,000 increase. Because what we're finding down there is that you've got Xenia and Jeff, the 2 full-time employees. A couple of years ago, we brought on one woman who helps us with weekend lab work, and she's pretty minimal hours, and that's all she does is just weekend lab work, and also does a walk through the plant to make sure everything is kosher. But what we're finding is that they're running into times where they need an extra set of hands when they're doing projects. It's not a full-time position. We just need that third body in order to either be a spotter or help with manual labor or those kind of things. So we took $10,000 you'll see out of professional services later in the budget,
and we moved it to a part-time employee line. So that pays for our weekend lab work person, so we're not having to pay one of the full-time people to come in on the weekend. And then also it would allow us to have that part-time on-call person, or not on-call, but per diem person. Yeah, come in when we have bigger projects. So that's the 15,505. So then Social Security, 10,585, Medicare, 2,476, paid family medical leave, 854, $7,112. That is an increase over last year based on the rates and the average use, but just keep in mind that's the facility itself, bridge crossings, pump stations, all of that stuff together. Telephone is $2,724. Internet, $1,800, remains the same. Water, $1,616, remains the same. Propane heat, $10,778. That is a slight decrease based on usage / our bid price. Wish I could get it for that cheaper. Office supplies, that's again trying to standardize everything. We moved the office supplies. We removed that from the equipment. Everything was coming out of equipment supplies. So $1,000 for office supplies. Equipment supplies though is $27,000 even. That includes all the chemicals he has to purchase, safety equipment, all of those items. Clothing, $800, remaining the same. Gasoline goes up to $1,500. I mean, I'm not minimizing this, that is $1,000 increase, but using the truck, we had, everybody remembers we had that little electric car that we got through a grant program for a while. The electric car went away, so now we're gonna use the truck for it. So the lease was up on the electric car, so that's why I see the increase. Diesel remains the same, $4,500 based on the use and our bid price. Software, $636, that's his Microsoft Office and other items. Professional services is $15,000, that's a $10,000 reduction, because remember I put that up there under the part-time line. Insurance, that's the liability insurance that we split up, that's $26,031. Sludge disposal, which sounds wonderful, $8,500, and that is based on 17 cents per gallon and an estimate of 50,000 gallons. Dues, $390 for the, as it says, operator license fees and so forth. Training and conferences, $4,000. We did add some money to that for mileage. Okay, because we don't have electric car and it's probably using a vehicle. License fees, $1,318, that is a slight decrease from last year. Building maintenance remains the same at $3,000. Vehicle maintenance remains the same at $2,000. And then pump station maintenance does go up to $5,000, which is an increase. And then sewer line maintenance, we increased that by $500 to $3,500 total. And then the north end sewer remains the same at $65,000. All in all, let's get over the best part. All in all, the sewer department budget is $506,838. That's an increase of $20,160.
Is the new component building place gonna, sewer? When the sewer stop?
The Hancock property.
Actually,
They stop at Walmart?
no, they didn't wanna, go with the town.
Stuff just prior to Walmart.
Yeah,
Skidfield Road, that's the end,
alright,
and Pigeon Hill on the last.
yeah.
Because it ends just after the casino, right?
No, it's actually going into the Rabbit Valley Road and stops like outside 20 feet.
Questions on the budget?
How many properties are actually on the town's sewer?
Well, it was 107 physical connections, but we actually calculated in ADUs, like equivalent dwelling unit. And for example, like casino will be like 75
Of
equivalents.
those 107?
No, from 470. Casino will be 75, for example. Like gas station will be like 3 ADUs, and like regular house will be just 1 ADU. So this fee structure is this yearly fee ADUs plus usage fee, which is based on the water flow. Like they use water meter, like the usage fee is $4 per every 100 cubic feet.
Depending on what you are, you get charged a different amount.
And or it's a business like, or it's like I don't know, restaurant like with 6 tables, or it's all explained in the ordinance, like how this ADU have to be charged.
Did you say, you said 407?
476, I think, like ADUs.
476.
Any other questions? Everybody getting tired?
Last year, there was like a membrane you had to replace.
Yes, it's 600. We have 2,400 membranes. They was warranted by Kubota for 10 years. 10 years expires, it's 11 year, and they start failing.
So it'll be another 10 years for you for that. Again.
No, I'm replacing only 600 from 2,400. I'm just replacing the ones which is bad, and then I'll be saving money again to do another batch of them.
So it's not this year on that.
No.
Just for giggle's sake, I brought up the ordinance and I can show that to you anytime if you want to see it, how that gets broken down, if you're curious.
Any other questions on the budget? I'll take a motion if no other questions.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
A motion made and seconded to approve the budget as is. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Moving on to CIP.
All right. Okay, so for CIP, the total ask this year for the sewer department is $70,000. Again, that is saving towards future purchases as well. One of the things I just want to really drive home is that we typically have put aside $45,000 every year for sewer repairs, which would, 45 would be for the sewer department itself, pump stations, all the infrastructure, bridge crossings, all that stuff. We just mentioned about membrane replacement recently. This last, I think, year, 18 months, we've had over $100,000 worth of repairs that we've had to do.
We had that's just membranes itself, and I have to fix one pump, have to do another one. Pump itself cost like $23,000, like for replacement. He was able to rebuild it like for $11,000. So, and another one is in line waiting.
Yeah, so unfortunately, everything he has to fix is all very expensive. So, anyway, with that being said, I want to increase the annual savings from 45 to 60,000 for those unexpected repairs because they seem to be just getting more and more expensive every year. And then on top of that, I'm proposing we do an additional $10,000 towards future purchases. So that would give us a total of $70,000. The ask this year is Zenio would like to set up a security camera system down there. Right now, we don't have one. So
We never had one. And we had a situation when someone was dumping, like, I'm not sure, I can't even tell who and what, but I found that our hatches was open.
So we need to, I think that's a priority.
Yeah.
So $70,000 is the ask. That would include purchasing the security system as well as as well as, raising the money for the emergency repairs. I can't talk.
Questions? Comment?
Would that camera system give you an alert if somebody's there, or would you have to go in and
Yes,
watch?
yes, and plus it will be watching basement. So, and we had like breakage in the basement previously, like with water hammer, so we will have early warning without flooding the basement.
That's quite a basement too, by the way.
Yeah. Could be a crappy situation.
Just live with it. Just live with it.
Make a motion that we recommend $7,000.
It's been more than motion's been made and seconded for the $70,000. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Well, Zenia,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
You're almost done, guys.
So, does anybody have an appetite to go further? Would you prefer to, we'll do all the general government at the next one?
Question,
Yes.
though. We've got next Tuesday.
Yep.
And then that's it. And we've already moved Public Works, we've moved police and fire EMS to next week as well.
So I'm just gonna throw this out there from the past. I'm not saying that this is how it's gonna work. Generally, third-party request is a fairly quick. The general government stuff, which is gonna be like your, general government, your administration, this building and so forth. Generally, that's a fairly quick-ish one. It may not be this year, but generally. Debt service, general assistance, I mean, those are ones that tend not to take forever. So, I'm not feeling like that's too over ambitious of a night, but if we get to the point where we're like, wow, this is too much, we can always pump the brakes. So, because I'll probably plan to throw the follow-up on the police and such right after third-party requests, so that we can get those people out of here and then. Is that?
Usually that goes fairly quick.
And if you guys want to take the time to look at the general government tab, and, if there's something in there that screams at you, reach out to me. We can maybe get that out of the way.
I take a motion to adjourn. Motion's been made. Was there a second?
Second.
Anybody want to argue that motion? All in favor? Opposed?
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
A little disappointed you took it out so easy on Z, but that's all right.
Well, she's got a crappy job.
Oh my goodness,
You knew it was coming, though, didn't you?
we'll pocket what we didn't give him so that we can make sure that you have enough.
That works for me.